Hi, Jennifer Witt here with the Witt Law Group in Washington State. Today's video is on PIP, or Personal Injury Protection. This type of insurance coverage is for those of you who have been injured in an auto accident, regardless of fault. If you like this topic or want to know more about other legal topics and questions to ask attorneys in your area, please like or subscribe so that we can get more videos like this out into the public. Thanks and stay tuned. So what is personal injury protection, or PIP? Well, for many years I have asked clients, prospective clients, when they call, do you have PIP? Will you have PIP coverage for this accident? And most folks, they'll say yes or maybe. And often I find out later they don't know what PIP is. And I had incorrectly assumed they knew. So I Googled PIP, and it turns out PIP also relates to a programming language, or Python. So I thought I better clarify what is PIP and how does PIP help people who have been injured in auto accidents. Number one, PIP is not MedPay and PIP are different, and not every state requires PIP. Washington requires an insurance company to offer you PIP coverage, but you don't have to have it. Some states actually require you to have it. I believe there are 12 states total, but it's best. I'm in Washington State, only licensed in Washington. So if you were injured in another state, you should look up personal injury protection or MedPay, see if that's required, look at your policy, basically see what policies are available to you, because this is not legal advice. It's just general information to get familiar with terms, because as I learned, not every client knows what PIP is. That was my mistake. So PIP is essentially often called a no-fault insurance. It means if I back down my driveway and hit my neighbor's car and they're in the car and we both sustain injuries, normally, if you don't have PIP, you would be responsible for your own injuries, your own medical pay, paying your medical bills. But PIP allows you, even if you're at fault, to use personal injury protection to cover your medical bills. So if I decide, wow, my neck really hurts, I want to see a chiropractor, PIP can kick in, and it kicks in regardless. Perhaps like I don't have medical insurance. It works like a medical insurance up to a certain amount. Most often I see a $10,000 policy, but they can be much higher. And if your insurance company offers it to you and you decline, you must sign a waiver saying, I do not want this, I reject PIP coverage. Sometimes, maybe once or twice a year, the insurance company will tell us, our client's insurance company will tell us they rejected PIP. But the insurance company has to produce the signed document, signature page, saying that the client rejected PIP. And if they can't produce that, you get PIP. You get the $10,000 of PIP. So it's always worth checking. They're pretty good about it, keeping documentation when an individual rejects the PIP coverage. The benefit to PIP over MedPay, for example, often people will say, well, I have MedPay or medical payment coverage. The benefit with PIP is that PIP covers more. It can be wage loss. Typically there's a waiting period of 2 weeks. Like, are you still severely injured? Have a doctor's note that you cannot return to work after 2 weeks, and then it will kick in for, it's not a lot of money. Average we see is about $200 a week, but it's something. And so it's something to think about. If you are a high income earner or the sole earner in your home, you may want additional coverage for lost wages just to protect you in the event of an accident where you can't go back to work, because people often mistakenly believe the at-fault driver's insurance is going to be paying your medical bills or paying lost wages, paying expenses throughout the treatment period, and that's false. That is not happening until a resolution happens, until there's a settlement or you go to trial and you have a judgment. That you are essentially on your own. So PIP kind of is a gap, or helps that give you a little coverage. There is something to be aware of with PIP in the states where you are using PIP. And again, ask your attorney about this. If you have certain insurance, Medicare, Medicaid, TRICARE. Essentially, you have to know the order of operations. You cannot use Medicare, for example, without using your PIP. They are a priority coverage, and it can create a big mess to go back and undo that billing. Think of it like taxpayer insurance. Are you shifting the burden to taxpayers with your medical insurance, for example, under Medicare or Medicaid, when you actually had another policy that could have kicked in and covered some of those bills prior to the Medicare or Medicaid coverage? So be aware, you really need to get informed. You do also have to pay back, or it's called subrogation, pay back a portion of that PIP at the end. But again, that's something to talk to a personal injury lawyer about, because that would be coming out of your settlement. So again, PIP is really, in my opinion, really critical. This happens to probably half of our clients. They either don't have insurance, they don't have good coverage, or their deductibles are very high, and they are reluctant to go get treatment even though they're very injured. And so this PIP coverage really allows them to get out and get ahead of the issue, get some relief from their pain. Be aware, your PIP coverage only covers that which is reasonable and related to the accident. So, that's pretty obvious, but sometimes people go to chiropractors and they're like, well, they said a lavender pillow would help me sleep. Be prepared, that may not get covered. So if you buy an expensive $300 lavender pillow, that might be on your tab. You also, in the state of Washington, only have 3 years to use that PIP coverage. So and that really relates more to statute of limitations, because if you haven't sought treatment, you're not going to be able to sue for it at that point if the 3 years have lapsed. So it's within 3 years. It has to be reasonable, related to the accident, and that's generally basic and understood, but keep that in mind when you are seeking care outside of the regular route, and be aware it could be rejected. So you may want to check on that. But again, PIP is available in Washington. It's always offered to every Washington driver. Is supposed to be offered, and you have to reject it in writing. Typically the minimum is $10,000, but make sure you understand the priority of the billing, and ask an attorney in your area for more details, because it is a very beneficial coverage to make sure that you have. Again, if you're unsure about what kind of policies you should have and what is required in the state of Washington, call an attorney in your area and get that information. Again, videos on YouTube are just general helpful information, but it's not helpful if it doesn't apply to you. So be sure to follow up and get that information if you need it, if you've been injured in a car accident. Thank you.